Good morning and welcome to my channel. My name is Priya. In my channel I make delicious and healthy plant-based meals, and today I'm going to try Boeuf bourguignon, which is a region in France, and Boeuf bourguignon is one of their dishes which is very famous. It's a beef stew. The beef is cooked in the famous wine of that region, Pinot Noir, and it's mixed with carrots and pearl onions, and it's a delicious dish. I have changed the beef to green lentils. Green lentils also a specialty in France, pouille lentils, and I've also put four or five different types of mushrooms. It came out really well. I couldn't find Pinot Noir from Burgundy here in London, so I substituted to a fruity light wine, which worked very well. So I was lucky enough to visit this region of Burgundy, and it's also famous for a hospice, which was started in the 14th century, and it was a hospital for the poor at that time. Now it's a museum, and they also own 60 acres of wine, and they produce the most delicious wine there, and there's a world famous auction of wine in November every year. So I'll show some videos of the museum, the hospice of Beaune, in this video, and also my delicious recipe. Let's get cooking. So here are my ingredients. I had some oyster, shiitake, king oyster mushrooms, which were mixed and I bought at Waitrose. Then I had some portobello mushrooms and some chestnut mushrooms. And those were my lentils that were soaked overnight and then washed thoroughly. And that's my rosemary, parsley, and bay leaf. And I didn't have thyme, fresh thyme, so I used from a bottle. And those were the potatoes for my mashed potatoes. And I found pearl onions in Lidl. Here's the wine I found, which was fruity. I couldn't find Pinot Noir. The cognac I used to deglaze the pearl onions when they were caramelizing. And I used carrots, onions, and celery. So these were my mashed potatoes. I wanted the mash to be a bit chunky. Usually it's served quite smooth with this recipe, but I liked it not that smooth. So I did it in the oven with the skin, some rosemary sprigs, olive oil, and salt, and I added some garlic, that were frozen garlic that I have in my fridge. But you can of course use the fresh one, which would be better. And then I have this chopper that makes vegetable chopping easy and quick. So when I'm lazy, I do use that. So it finally chopped all my vegetables quickly within minutes. So I fried my mushrooms. I didn't wash them in water. Water is the enemy of mushrooms because it absorbs water and then it becomes soggy. So it's best to pat them dry, pat them clean with a wet towel. So I put a sprig of rosemary and a garlic, and then I fried my mushrooms until they were cooked. In the meantime, I dry fry my onions with a bit of butter. And then I put a piece of baking paper on top, which helps to caramelize the onions. I cut a hole in the middle so the air can evaporate. So my mushrooms are nearly done. So as you can see, they're not waterlogged; they're quite dry. That's what you're looking for. So I've fried my carrots, celery, and onions with some garlic separately. And as they were cooking, I added a stock cube mixed with boiling water and dissolved. Then I added some tomato paste. And here my pearl onions are nicely caramelizing. And I used a bit of cognac to deglaze the pan. This is an optional step, but obviously it gives that depth of flavor that you're looking for. If you want it to be even more special, you can flambe it with a matchstick. So, which I didn't do. So I added my stock cube and water, then some corn flour. I added a tablespoon of corn flour to thicken up the sauce. And then in went the tomato paste. So my onions are now ready. This is used as a garnish on top of the end product. I switched off the cooker and left it aside. And here goes my wine. It makes the most beautiful glug, glug, glug sound as it's poured in. Just a pleasure to hear. And then that's my what they call a bouquet garni, which is herbs tied together with a string, rosemary, bay leaf, parsley, and thyme is usually used in a bouquet garni. You remove this once the cooking process is done. I added the thyme separately because I didn't have fresh thyme. I added some vegan butter onto this cognac sauce to give it a bit more flavor. As it was set aside to cool. So here my lovely wine sauce is bubbling away. And then I cover it and put it in the oven for 40 minutes. It's best to use a Dutch oven because it's made of cast iron and it produces heat from the inside. So if you have a Dutch iron oven, that's the best pan to use for this dish. So here's my potatoes that I put in at the same time to save me time. So put a bit of olive oil on top. And this is, I took it out after about half an hour and then put the mushrooms inside, the cooked mushrooms. So it requires just another 10 minutes in the oven. I took my potatoes out as well. And then I added some non-dairy milk, non-dairy yogurt, non-dairy butter, pepper, salt, and some nutmeg into my mash. So this is what the end product looks like. Beautiful, silky, glistening red wine sauce with earthy mushrooms, 5 different types of mushrooms, and the lentils have absorbed that wine sauce. So I will put this on a bed of mashed potatoes, which is infused with rosemary and garlic. And then I put my cognac infused pearl onions on top. Absolutely delicious on a winter day. Bon appetit.